I'm worried the Golden Bachelorette's Joan Vassos isn't going to get the happy ending she deserves. Chock Chapple isn't the right fit for her. December 10, 2024. Hello, Bachelor Nation news fans. Welcome back to the channel. The Golden Bachelorette star Joan Vassos has accepted Chock Chapple's proposal, but I'm worried that the pressure to commit to something will ensure that she won't get the happy ending she deserves. Joan, who originally appeared during the Golden Bachelor Season 1 as a contestant hoping to win Jerry Turner's heart, was ready to find something real. After leaving the Golden Bachelor, Joan was asked back to start the process as the Golden Bachelorette. While she wasn't necessarily a Bachelor Nation darling, Joan was well liked enough for viewers to get excited when they found out she'd become the next lead. As the lead of the Golden Bachelorette Season 1, Joan was ready for an exciting new opportunity. She seemed like she was going to do what it took to find love with her cast of guys, but it was clear that Joan was particular about who she dated in her real life. Opening herself up to new people, new experiences, and new ideas, Joan had a whole new chapter of her life unfold during her time on the show. Getting to know Chock and the other Golden Bachelor contestants was exciting, but may have put pressure on Joan's ultimate decision. Joan joined the Golden Bachelorette hopeful and optimistic. Although Joan's time on the Golden Bachelor wasn't cut short because of Heartbreak, by the time she became the Golden Bachelorette she was ready and hoping that love would be on the other side of the experience. Joan's life prior to her Bachelor Nation experience wasn't easy, especially within the last few years. After spending the last several decades with her late husband, Joan Vassos, she unexpectedly lost him to pancreatic cancer in 2021. Through the last years, Joan's been grieving and doing her best to move forward, keeping steady for the grown children and grandchildren she shared with John. While Joan shared she hadn't dated much after her husband's death, it was clear that she was ready to jump back into the dating scene when she landed on the Golden Bachelor. Joan's quick stint on the show was fun, and prepared her for her own time as the lead, which came quickly thereafter. She was prepared for the environment of the show and how much responsibility would fall to her as the lead. While she didn't know about the pressure she'd be under, Joan felt ready to accept everything that came with leading the show and knew she'd succeed. Joan's final choice, Chock, has been full of red flags. Although she was able to find her way through the difficulties of figuring out who would work for her and who wouldn't, Joan's choices toward the end of the season each featured their own set of red flags. With her final three coming down to Chock, Pascal Ibgui, and Guy Gansert, Joan felt certain about very little when it came to her future with the guys. Joan had a connection with each of her final three men, but when Pascal chose to leave the series, she felt even more unclear about the relationships she had left with Chock and Guy. Chock, who joined the series just a year after losing his late fiancée to cancer, was still dealing with grief of his own as he moved through the beginning phases of his relationship with Joan. After being engaged for 9 years, Chock's fiancée lost her battle with cancer and left him unsure of where to turn. Unfortunately, Chock's grief brought up some major red flags. He was perceived as someone who isolated himself quite a bit, and on top of his isolation issues, he appeared to be love-bombing Joan at moments. Viewers were overwhelmed with Chock's strong feelings for her. Chock and Joan's relationship is too reliant on social media validation. When Bachelor Nation watching closely, Joan chose Chock and accepted his proposal. While many viewers weren't satisfied with the choice, they were willing to give Joan and Chock's relationship a chance. Bachelor Nation struggled with the way Chock behaved around Joan, wondering if he was more invested in the relationship for clout than he was for genuine affection. Joan's decision was difficult for viewers, and as Bachelor Nation moved through the first days post-season, it was clear that social media would be a place for her to share more of an unfiltered look at her relationship with Chock. The pair have posted more about their relationship in the last few weeks than Bachelor Nation saw about them during the Golden Bachelorette season as a whole. While Joan and Chock have been open about their relationship with one another, they've also been doing their best to keep their private lives to themselves in the moment. Seeing Joan recording nearly every big moment of their lives has been overwhelming, but it's also been obvious that she feels like she needs to update Bachelor Nation about what's going on in her relationship. Their relationship feels like it requires social media validation. Did Joan settle for someone who won't make her happy? Although Joan and Chock have been sharing their happiness throughout their first weeks together in public, I'm not certain that she's actually found someone who will make her happy. Chock's penchant for isolation during the Golden Bachelorette season has appeared to transfer over to their day-to-day lives, especially with Chock being quieter during Joan's videos on social media. Joan has been overtaking most of her posts, leading people to struggle with the power dynamics in their relationship. As the Golden couple continues to share more about their relationship, the less I'm convinced that they're a good fit for each other. While Joan may be happy with Chock now, it doesn't feel like the two are a pair that are meant to last the rest of their lives. Joan and Chock's relationship doesn't always feel equal, which has given me pause about their future together. While Joan is looking for someone who can go with the flow and match her energy, Chock feels like someone less spontaneous than she's interested in. While only Joan and Chock truly know their relationship, I'm worried about their future if their personalities continue to clash. The Golden Bachelorette pair may not continue to work well. Today, we're going to dive deep into the relationship between Joan Vassos and Chock Chapple from the Golden Bachelorette. After Joan accepted Chock's proposal, I couldn't help but feel concerned that, despite their apparent connection, the relationship may not lead to the lasting happiness Joan deserves. Throughout her journey, Joan's vulnerability and optimism about finding love were undeniable, yet I'm starting to worry that Chock may not be the right fit for her. In fact, I believe the pressure for Joan to commit to anything may cloud her judgment, and ultimately, she could settle for a relationship that isn't fulfilling in the long term. Let's take a closer look at why I feel this way. Joan's journey to the Golden Bachelorette. Joan Vassos' story has been nothing short of heartwarming. Before joining the Golden Bachelor Season 1, Joan was a widow, having lost her beloved husband, Joan Vassos, to pancreatic cancer in 2021. After decades of marriage, this loss was a significant life change, and Joan was understandably hesitant to date again. However, when the opportunity to be a contestant on The Golden Bachelor presented itself, Joan saw it as a chance to step back into the dating world, albeit cautiously. Her time on The Golden Bachelor was brief, but it was clear from her interactions with Jerry Turner that Joan was ready to embrace the possibility of love again. Following The Golden Bachelor, Joan was selected to be the Golden Bachelorette, an opportunity that she approached with hope and excitement. This was her moment to take charge of her own narrative and potentially find a lasting partner. Having seen how Jerry's journey played out, Joan had an idea of what to expect, but she also knew that, as the lead, she would have more control over her choices. As the Golden Bachelorette Season 1 progressed, it became clear that Joan wasn't going to settle for just any man. She was particular about who she let into her life, which is exactly how it should be. However, with her final decision down to Chock Chapple, Pascal Ibgui, and Guy Gansert, Joan faced an incredibly tough choice, and that's where things started to get complicated. The red flags in Joan's relationship with Chock. While Joan certainly had connections with all three of her final men, there were signs that not everything was as it seemed with Chock. Initially, Joan was drawn to him, but as the season wore on, Chock's behavior began to raise some red flags. Chock had suffered an immense loss of his own. His fiancée had passed away from cancer just a year before he joined the show. While this shared grief may have initially bonded Joan and Chock, it also posed some challenges. Chock's grief, which was still raw, led him to isolate himself at times, and this was a concern for viewers. While some people might have seen his moments of withdrawal as understandable, Joan's desire for a partner who could match her energy and enthusiasm didn't always align with Chock's more introverted tendencies. Even more concerning was the perception that Chock was love-bombing Joan, showering her with overwhelming affection that seemed, at times, more performative than genuine. While he undoubtedly cared for her, it felt as though his emotions were being pushed to the forefront, perhaps more than Joan was comfortable with. This imbalance was not only noticed by viewers but also by Joan herself, who started to second-guess her connection with him. The social media dependency, a deeper concern. One aspect of Joan and Chock's relationship that has been hard to ignore is their reliance on social media for validation. Since their engagement was revealed, the couple has shared an overwhelming number of posts documenting their relationship. From cozy selfies to behind-the-scenes glimpses of their life, Joan and Chock have been open about their journey, perhaps a bit too open. While it's natural for people to share significant moments of their lives with others, the frequency and tone of their posts have raised some questions. It seems as though their relationship is, in part, fueled by the need to prove to their followers that they are happy together. For Joan, who had spent much of her life with John in a more private and intimate relationship, this shift into the public eye could feel overwhelming. The pressure to constantly update fans about their relationship could be taking a toll on Joan, who might feel compelled to present a picture-perfect romance even when things aren't going smoothly behind closed doors. The couple's dynamic, heavily reliant on social media, doesn't seem healthy. A relationship grounded in authentic connection should thrive in private, away from the public eye, but for Joan and Chock, it's as if their love is being filtered through the lens of public opinion. This dependency on validation from others could be a recipe for disaster. Is Joan settling for Chock? As we've seen in reality TV and in life, sometimes people settle for relationships that don't fully fulfill them because of the pressure to find something that works, anything that works. After all, the spotlight can be a powerful motivator, and in Joan's case, after everything she's been through, I fear that she may have rushed into a commitment with Chock simply to make something work. It's possible that Joan, who had invested so much time in the show and in building relationships with her final 3 suitors, might have made her choice based on external pressures either from producers or from her own internalized desire for a happy ending. While Joan and Chock may have shared emotional moments on the show, their relationship has yet to demonstrate the depth and stability needed for a lasting, successful partnership. The cracks in their connection, Chock's grief-induced isolation, and the lack of true emotional equality are concerning. Joan's ideal partner is someone who can match her energy, who's open to new experiences, and who can communicate openly and honestly. Chock, while undoubtedly a kind man who has faced his own trials, might not be that partner. He often seems emotionally distant, and his communication style is much more reserved than Joan likely needs. Joan deserves someone who can bring out her best qualities and make her feel truly seen and heard. Right now, it's hard to see that happening with Chock. Will Joan and Chock last? I hate to be pessimistic, but I'm genuinely concerned about Joan and Chock's future.